What's up, guys? I'm still taking a deep breath after that one. I think it's 12. What's the Siegel Center clock say? It's 12:15 p.m. 12:15 a.m. I'm stupid. It's late at night. It was a 9 o'clock tip, but VCU beat St. Bonaventure 75-61. This place was about as loud as I've heard it in recent years. And I'm Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn. With post-game reaction from the Siegel Center after VCU moved to 16-4 overall, 6-1 in A10 play. I think they're tied with George Mason atop the conference right now, and this was a wild one. This place was electric. Ryan Odom, Joe Bonaventure, Zeb Jackson all talked about it after the game. The crowd helped them flip the switch after a really sluggish first half. So let's start there, right? Bonaventure 33, VCU 25 at halftime. And the Bonnies came to play. An enormous amount of credit to them, an enormous amount of credit to Chance Moore, who had a turf toe, I think missed their last game against George Mason. The line pregame got up to VCU minus 12.5, and somehow after all of that, VCU ended up covering here. But it did not feel like they were going to do that in that first half, right? Noel Brown, the big center for Bonaventure, was killing VCU down low. It was 29-12 in the rebounding battle, with Bonaventure leading at halftime. So Mark Schmidt and his boys came to play. Chance Moore ended up with 21 and 8 rebounds despite the injury. A huge tip of the cap to him because he toughed it out and played a great game of basketball tonight. But VCU turned this game around largely thanks to getting going in transition, 22-5 edge and fast break points. Its depth, 15-0 edge and bench points, and creating turnovers for Bonaventure. They ended up with 16 turnovers. VCU only had 6. They really protected the ball well tonight, and VCU ended up with a 17-4 edge and points off turnovers. And that's how this game flipped in the second half. And Ryan Odom said to his team, he just said in the press conference here, he told his guys, hey, this crowd wants to explode. We can feel the tension in here. It's a 9 p.m. game. It was 90s night here at the Siegel Center, which was very fun. I sang some Backstreet Boys there in the second half with the crowd. We had some tense moments here. I know a fan down on the sideline wasn't happy with the officiating, and the officials tried to kick him out. Joe Bonaventure got a technical over here right by the VCU bench after he made a 3 in the corner that I think made it 53-46 with about 8 minutes to play. And Joe didn't say anything. He just did the wave the hand in front of the face, you can't see me. He said that his man thought it was a good closeout and told him it wasn't going in. And Joe gave him that sign, and they teed him up, which is a tough technical. And we could laugh about it in the post-game press conference afterward, but Joe, took a second to get perspective and get serious and say, hey, I can't do that. If we'd lost this game by 1, I'd feel terrible. But he was excellent in the second half, right? He ended up with a team-high 18 points after Joe didn't score in the first half. And then he ends up with 18 on 7 of 12 shooting, a team-high 6 assists, a game-high 24 over on the box plus-minus. He was outstanding, and even though Joe can be a streaky scorer, as illustrated by his production in this game, he's so even keel mentality-wise. I know his faith is a big part of that. About that, he's talked about that, and he said, in that first half, I'm taking open shots, they're not going in, I'm thanking God. And then in the second half, I'm taking open shots, they're going in, and I'm thanking God. And so that's Joe's mindset, whether it's falling or whether it's not. He approaches the game and has his mentality the same way. Philip Russell, speaking of mentality, ended up with 16 points, 4 of 7 from 3, 5 of 11 from the field. His competitive edge helped flip this game in the second half, right? There were a few plays early in that second half where Phil was interacting with the crowd, flexing, drawing fouls. There was a double foul called over here where I think Phil, I thought it was the right call because I think Phil kind of engaged in some dark arts there where the defender had his hand in the cookie jar and Phil kind of closed his wing on it to keep it there, trying to draw the foul, and the officials ended up making it a double foul. But man, Phil helped flip the switch competitiveness-wise for this team. Zeb and Joe talked about that after the game. He's like that all the time, and they joke about that a lot. And I think that Phil has really built a strong relationship with this fan base because VCU basketball fans love their guards with an edge, right? A la Briante Weber, a la Joey Rodriguez, a lot of guys that this program has loved over the years. And Phil is, it's an overused term in today's sports lexicon, but Phil is a dog if there ever was one. And that helped turn this game in the second half. Jack Clark, 12 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. Joe and Zeb both talked about Kwani last year, right, who really struggled to shoot the ball early in the season and then found it come A10 play. Jack, I think it's been similar for him, right? That was a big narrative surrounding this team, settling for too many threes collectively, but for him individually. And he's just stayed even keel and kept believing that it was going to fall, and it's fallen for him now. He was 5 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 3. Hit a couple of huge ones in that second half to help flip this game. And VCU only ended up leading for 14-26, Bonaventure for 22-30. But VCU led for a strong majority of that second half. And again, ended up covering the 12.5-point spread, which is wild, given how sluggish this first half was for them. Ryan Odom said that up in Olean, when VCU lost to Bonaventure 77-75, he felt like his team played good offense, but the Bonnies did not feel VCU's intensity defensively. And they certainly did tonight, right? Holding them to 61. Like I said, 16 turnovers, leading to 17 VCU points. That ability to turn them over, create live ball turnovers, get going in the fast break, run their offense well so that they could set the defense and set the press. All of those things were huge in helping get this game turned. Luke Bamboye, my goodness, man. I mean, he only had 1 point tonight, 4 rebounds, but 4 more blocks. He leads the country in block rate and is just absolutely elite in that regard. And Odom talked about it in the postgame press conference. So did Zeb and Joe, where the coaches were telling them, look, Luke's bailing y'all out. Because they weren't playing great defense in that first half, and there were a few, bad defensive possessions where they allowed penetration on the perimeter, and somebody got to the basket, and Luke saved them with a block, right? He ended up with 4. Christian Furman deserves a huge tip of the cap because he's clearly not 100% after rolling his ankle at Rhode Island on Tuesday, but he toughed this one out, played 18-26, 2 of 2 from the floor, 2 of 2 at the line, ended up with 6 points and a couple blocks. He helped impact this game and helped slow down Noel Brown. The St. Bonaventure's big center who was great in that first half. Bonnie's had a 29-12 edge in rebounding at the break, and it ended up 38-30, right? So Bonaventure only 9 rebounds in the second half after 28 in the first half. That's a wild disparity. VCU committed to crashing the glass collectively in that second half. That was another factor in turning this game around. And man, a huge win for VCU. This atmosphere was electric. Ryan Odom, Zeb Jackson, Joe Bonaventure all talked about it, that the fans in here very much helped them turn this game around and find their mojo. 3-point shooting as well. I know that a lot of people feel like this team takes too many threes. I've talked about it on Rams Rewind with George Templeton, and we have different philosophical approaches on that front. I very much believe in, the analytics of taking a lot of threes. At the end of the day, it's worth 3 points, and anything inside the arc is worth 2, and if you're open, you should shoot it. That's just what the math say. That's what the math says. It's a more valuable shot. And VCU has committed to attacking the cup a little bit more recently in A10 play, and that's what's helped this team get on this 6-game win streak that they're on right now. But they were 11 of 24 from 3 tonight. Bonaventure 4 of 19, right? So looking at the box score, that's pretty much your difference in terms of scoring, because Bonaventure 25 of 47 from the field overall, VCU 26 of 58. So they only made 1 more field goal, but your difference is Bonaventure made 4 threes and VCU made 11. And 11 of 24 is certainly going to do it. 8 of 13, which is what VCU shot from 3 in the second half, is absolutely going to do it. That's 61.5%. So I think VCU took the right threes in the flow of the offense, and Ryan Odom said that this team over the course of the season still hasn't really found that ceiling in terms of its outside shooting, because with the guard depth that they have, with a guy like Jack Clark, a stretch forward who can hit it from outside as well, they still feel like they haven't hit their stride in terms of outside shooting and what the ceiling is for this team with lighting it up from 3. Because when they get going, they can certainly hit those outside shots, and they're a dangerous team offensively when they are. So man, again, VCU 75, St. Bonaventure 61. That's 6 wins in a row for the Rams. They're squarely on the bubble in terms of NCAA tournament resume right now. I think the at-large hopes are still very much alive, but they got to keep winning. The A10 collectively, it looks like a 1, maybe a 2 bid league if Dayton can figure things out, if VCU can stay hot. Those are the only 2 teams with real legitimate at-large hopes for the NCAA tournament right now. It looks like Dayton's starting to get in rhythm. And so maybe, they can get hot down the stretch here. That'll be a couple of huge games when VCU goes to UD Arena, when Dayton comes here. It'll be an electric atmosphere. But if one of those teams doesn't win the A10 tournament, then we'll have an interesting situation with how many bids that this conference gets right now. Because I know that those elite programs at the top don't want to be part of a 1-bid league, and McLaughlin has said that the A10 has got to improve. And it's overall, I think, disappointed in a year that many people hoped that it would be a resurgent year for the A10. But anyway, VCU's tied for first place right now with George Mason, who's playing outstanding basketball up in Fairfax. Rams only play the Patriots once this year, so that'll be a huge matchup when it comes. I forget the date for that game, but I'm pretty sure it's here. I don't think VCU goes to Eagle Bank this year. So a huge win for the Rams behind Joe Bonaventure, who led them with 18 points. Banasile, Russell with 16, Clark with 12, Shulga with 13, all in double figures. I haven't mentioned Max Shulga because I think we're all so used to him being a major contributor for this team, but he absolutely deserves a shout too. 13 points, 5 assists, 4 steals. He's been so improved defensively this year and hasn't had to carry this team offensively like he did for huge stretches last year, so he's been able to affect the game in so many different ways. So a big win for VCU in what was an electric atmosphere tonight. I love the 9 p.m. tips. Like I said, it's 12:25 p.m. right now. I've been doing this for 10 minutes, and I should probably end the On the Horn, but this is the middle of my day. Not quite the middle of my day. It's not that bad, but I am a night owl. So everyone else, not a fan of the 9 p.m. tips, but I'm a big fan, and it was an electric atmosphere in the Siegel Center tonight. So thank you for following along, Ram Nation. Stuart Siegel came up to me in the media room right before the press conference and thanked me for the coverage and said he enjoys reading it, and that meant the world. So thank you so much to everyone who reads, whether it's the print paper in the Times-Dispatch, whether you just watch the On the Horn or read afterwards. I appreciate the readership and y'all following the coverage a great deal. This is a really fun atmosphere tonight, and thank you so much for following along, everyone. So we'll see you next time from the Siegel Center. This is On the Horn. I'm Zach Joachim, VCU 75, St. Bonaventure 61. Rams are tied for first place in the A-10. Later, guys.